I'm tired of explaining what the joke is.
This is what you asked for. Fire in the sunrise, ashes raining down.
Hey YouTube, what is going on? My name is Andrew, aka the Black Dragon. This is Black Dragon Studios, and we're back with another episode of Raid Shadow Legends. Today I'm on the free-to-play account. I pulled a very cool champion recently, and I really wanted to put maximum damaging gear on this champion and just test them out in arena and see if this champion has any viability in this game. This champion reminds me a lot of Genbo the Dishonored, which is one of my main nukers, was my main nuker on my main account for years. So I don't know if this champion is exactly as good as Genbo, doesn't ignore unkillable, doesn't decrease the duration of debuffs or buffs on the enemies, but does pack a very cool kit. Let's take a look at this champion here. Dyana Gloompiercer from the Sylvan Watchers faction. Now, at first glance, I see only 254 reviews on this champion. So this champion is new. This is a newer epic and a void epic. So if you're lucky enough to get your hands on this champion, apparently this champion was available during the Thor fusion as well. So if you didn't fuse Thor, you might have this champion lying around somewhere in your vault or maybe in your inventory. And you might want to build this champion out. I'm finding that this champion is getting quite decent ratings actually in the early going. Good ratings in Faction Wars, good ratings in Fire Knight's Castle, campaign locations, arena, even some plausibility against the clan boss. But pretty much every area in the game, this champion is not getting under a 4 rating. And what I found interesting is people are actually rating this champion a 4.8 in Chimera. I don't know if that's true or not. We're definitely going to do some testing with this champion, if nowhere else, in arena, because I think this champion is going to have some great viability in arena, probably in Fire Knight as well, and you're going to see why. I'm going to explain to you the kit here in a minute, but first let's take a look at this champion's outfit. Very cool champion, not overdone and definitely not underdone either. And I just want to mention, I kind of love the whole flavor of the Sylvan Watchers faction, just a very elfy woodland type faction, and I've always loved that type of thing, having a Magic the Gathering background. I've always loved the elves in Magic the Gathering, and this just brings me back to my roots. So 10 out of 10 on this artwork for Dyana Gloompiercer. Very clearly an elf there with the ears and the arrows and the archer. You know, she's an archer clearly. So I'm hoping she hits hard. I'm hoping she smacks. An attack-based epic champion. So I have gone ahead and put her in my most practical nuking gear on my free-to-play account. Okay, so I gotta be honest with you guys. My free-to-play account is still very early on in the actual account. I am just going to pick up Syl the Drakes a couple of days from now, which I'm very excited about. Syl the Drakes is such a great free-to-play champion and a hard carry in so much content, so we'll be so happy to pick up Syl the Drakes. But the point I'm trying to make to you is my gear is still not that good on this account, but you're going to see that with her skill kit, we were able to jack up the damaging stats because of this right here. On her A3 is a 4-turn cooldown, but you can book that down to a 3-turn cooldown, which is awesome for a nuke. Attacks all enemies, but before attacking, and this is where Genbo, this is the similarity to Genbo comes in, places an increased crit rate and increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns, and the big version, 30% and 30%. This is massive, so we can build this champion to, obviously, 70% crit rate and then just pack maximum crit damage. So with the 30% extra crit damage from this skill, we're going to be hitting some very high crit damage numbers. I can only imagine, if you had good gear, the amount of crit damage you could put on this champion, and damage is based off of attack. And not only this, but if this attack kills an enemy, places a veil on all allies for 1 turn. So the veil is going to mitigate some damage. It's going to create some synergy. It's going to help her with her passive which is this champion will ignore shield and strengthen buffs while attacking under an increased attack, veil, or perfect veil buff. So obviously we're going to want to get a veil on her. Great to pair with someone like a Rector Drath or a Duchess, for example. And then somebody who can place an increased attack. So you can pair her with Arbiter as a great increased attack champion that is free to play. Or you could even go ahead with Loki. Or Loki is not only a good increased attack champion, but also can place perfect veil or veil. And also, if he has a veil, increases or makes this ability here irresistible for his Bandit Flash, and also has the ability to place veils and perfect veils on champions as well as spread debuffs while he's under a veil or perfect veil. So I just think that this champion is probably going to be one of your best early options to pair with Dyana for that exact reason. And not to mention the fact that I've always loved a Void Nuker. I've always loved me a Void Nuker in Raid Shadow Legends because they are never going to get a weak hit unless they're enfeebled. They're never going to strike for a weak hit in this game. So this is great news. We have another Void, potentially viable Void attack-based Nuker in this game. What's her A2? Her A2 is actually very cool. Books down to a 3-turn cooldown. Ally attack. Teams up with 2 random allies to attack a single enemy. This is great in Fire Knight. This is great in Hydra. This is great in Arena. This is great anywhere in the game. Ally attack has always been one of the strongest moves in the game of Raid Shadow Legends, and it doesn't get any better than this, really. I wish that they would just give in and let your whole freaking team attack with the default skills, which is their A1s, but Raid obviously isn't going to give us that luxury. Nope, it's just two random allies, and the bonus here is, if the target is under a decreased defense debuff, these attacks will ignore 20% of the target's defense. Well, this is great. This is amazing that we get to ignore all that extra defense, especially against bosses, as her A1 places a, wow, would you look at that, a decreased defense, and the big version for 2 turns. So if we get around to that, we can actually use her as our decreased defense champion if we need it. So, you know, it's not the best A1 in the world, but in a pinch, she can be our decreased defense champion. And a nice aura of attack in all battles of 20% as well, which is nothing to shake a stick at. Just staying on this page here for a moment, what exactly would be the best blessings for this champion? Well, let's see. I wouldn't be opposed to putting Phantom Touch on this champion if you have like a 1 to 4 star blessing, or even like a 5-star blessing. This champion would be fairly decent in Phantom Touch because you would have a chance of inflicting bonus damage, and the bonus damage is proportional to this champion's attack. But let's say you were to get a 6-star blessing on this champion, 150% you're having to go with Crushing Rend, and I would suggest that for just about every nuker that's epic or even not epic. A 6-star Crushing Rend in this game for a damage dealer of any kind, whether it be HP, attack based, don't matter. Crushing Rend of 6-star is so overpowered. Every hit will ignore a percentage of the target's defense and will ignore 1% of defense for every 10 levels. So let's say the boss is level 250. Well, you're going to ignore a lot of that boss's defense. If they're level 60, you're going to, like if you're attacking an arena, you're still going to ignore 6 extra percent of the target's defense. Which when you stack it with a gear set like Merciless, for example, or a gear set that ignores defense like Savage Gear, you're ignoring defense with those types of gear sets, and then Helm Smasher, the mastery, which ignores more defense, we are going to be ignoring an awful lot of defense when this champion is min-maxed. Okay, so now that we've understood the kit and where the damage is going to be coming from, where the potential is going to be coming from, well, how hard does this champion actually hit? Well, I look no further than the Hell Hades. Okay, let's compare it to Genbo the Dishonored. Okay, so when I pull up Genbo the Dishonored for you guys, this is what I pull up. All right, This is Genbo's AoE attack here. Heartless Blitz. After he does a sword trance, increase crit rate, increase crit damage, grants an extra turn. Then goes into Heartless Blitz, which is on a 4-turn cooldown, a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Attacks all enemies, and then has a chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs by 1 turn. Also has passive as immune to decreased attack, will ignore unkillable when attacking under an increased attack buff. So it's a little bit better than Dyana. I got to admit, he has a little bit better than Dyana if we put the ignoring unkillable into his kit, as well as the decreased duration of debuffs, of buffs on this AoE. But let's see how the damage compares, which is really all I care about here, because if this damage is strong enough, then we can deal with all the rest. His multiplier is a 4 times attack, and he hits very hard. If anybody knows how hard Genbo can hit, Genbo can lay one of the best nukes for an epic champion, if not the best nuke, comparable to Magnarr, maybe even better than a Magnarr in the game. So if we compare it to that multiplier, let's go and see what her multiplier is for her AoE. Alright, so I pulled her up here on Hell Hades, and by the way, she is getting a 3.5 rating, which I don't agree with. I think once people realize how good this champion is, she'll be upgraded maybe at least to a 3.8 or a 3.9, but she's definitely better than a 3.5. Okay? So let's see here. Her AoE attack, which is a 3.75 times attack multiplier. So we're getting a very good, strong nuke here out of this champion, okay? This champion is going to hit very, very hard. If you have that ignore defense gear on her, she's going to hit like a frickin' freight train, dude. Okay? So there you have it. That's all we really need to know about this. I have done a little bit of testing with her, but as I stated before, the only real changes I would make to this mastery tree here, you could put her in counterattack gear and just forego all of this support tree. We don't really need her as the decreased defense. I have other decreased defense champions anyways. So in saying that, she's more of a buffer than a debuffer, which is why I was considering going down to lasting gifts here. She's going to be placing veils. She's going to be placing increased crit rate, increased crit damage. So I just thought that lasting gifts might be a good thing to do for her, as well as add some extra accuracy with charged focus and pinpoint accuracy as well, and Swarm Smiter. But honestly, if we want to just forego the accuracy in her kit here, and the cycle of magic, which isn't really that great anyways, this is how I would do it. Okay, I'm gonna do it because this is honestly what I'm gonna be doing anyways. Go for the crit rate if you need it. We can build her to 70% crit rate, crit damage, and then all the way down this tree here into Helm Smasher. Helm Smasher for ignoring more defense. Shield Breaker you could put on her, but as we stated before, she's going to have to ignore all those shields in the first place with her passive. So Shield Breaker's not really a great option for this champion. And then I would go over here for maybe some resistance. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Just go down here into Resurgent, which I think is the best. I think this is really all I really care about on this whole tree. For defensive stats, Resurgent has a 50% chance to remove one random debuff when they lose 25% of their max HP or more from a single enemy skill. This champion, I will admit to you, is very squishy. Extremely squishy, must pair with Reviver, or it's just not plausible to use this champion. In most cases. So yeah, just have this as backup here, this Resurgent, so she can actually get to take a turn. And then I would go down here into the counterattack tree, to get those extra A1s off. 50% chance to counterattack when this champion loses 25% more of their max HP from a single enemy skill. And then we could go over here and pick up Kill Streak as well, so increases damage, inflicted by 6% in arena and 3% in all other locations for each enemy killed by the skill in battle. stacks up to 12%. So we can actually like stack a lot of damage by putting kill streak on and get some counter attacks as well with retribution. I think that would probably be one of the best ways you could go down and, build out her masteries, as well as fully book her. I would definitely recommend fully booking her, especially if you're going to use her for PvE. Just cycling around to that ally attack is going to be so powerful, especially in areas like Fire Knight or Doom Tower waves. And then obviously, booking this AoE down to a 3-turn cooldown is going to mean that your champions are veiled more often, that she's attacking AoE style more often, and just doing everything more often. So yeah, her passive, thankfully, is just a static passive. It's always there, and it doesn't have a cooldown, so we don't have to worry about that. And then obviously you want to fully book out the A1 as well, because it adds more damage and as well more debuff chance for the decreased defense. Okay, so now that we've gone over the masteries and the blessing, I can't really give you a relic tutorial today, but just obviously anything that adds attack, adds crit damage, adds damage to this champion would be a great relic to put on this champion. And then we go into the gear. So yeah, like I stated before, this is going to be the stats for this champion. And this is crazy, man, considering I only have 180 days played on this account, that this champion, I was able to put her up to almost 300% crit damage because I had only needed to put a maximum of 70% crit rate on this champion. So I actually could have went down into the attack tree as well, but what you'll find is as you get better gear in this game, you can focus primarily on removing gear that has crit rate off and put more crit damage on. So having that mastery of 5% crit rate is actually meaning that you only need to find 65% crit rate from the gear, which is absolutely insane for a champion of this caliber. So I will not stress that anymore, but yeah, we've got her at 80% crit rate and 265 crit damage, which I think is feasible considering the next best champion on my account, which would be a Magnarr, who hits significantly harder than Dyana. I'm not going to lie, like a Magnarr is going to hit a lot harder, and I don't even have him fully geared here, okay? But when I have my Magnarr fully geared, he's roughly running at around 205 to 210% crit damage. So there you have it. She's got an extra 50% crit damage on her just because I was able to forego a lot of the crit rate out of her build, so that's the power of 70% crit rate as opposed to having to get 100% crit rate. I wasn't able to get any of those savage sets or anything like that on her. This is just poor man's free-to-play gear. But the damaging stats are on the gear: speed, crit damage, crit rate, and then obviously accuracy or attack percent would be great to have on any of the pieces of gear. Attack percent chest went heavy on the crit damage there, and I actually was able to get a crit damage set, which is a 2-piece set that gives you 20% extra crit damage, which is obviously great. Cruel would be a fantastic set to get this champion in. And then obviously here we've got some pretty good crit damage gloves with speed, crit rate, and accuracy. That's really all I'm looking for here and on here as well. So not a bad bit of jumbled gear. And then we've obviously got the pinpoint crit damage, really nice crit damage amulet here for pinpoint to add a little bit of accuracy. And then with this Slayer gear too, you could put her in 9-piece Slayer and she will be slaying big time. You could put her in, I would recommend it too, because it's going to give you 15% crit rate. It's going to give you 30% ignore defense when using AoE skills, fill champion's turn meter, extra crit damage, extra speed, and yeah, I mean, this is insane. If you can get her in a 9-piece Slayer set, she's going to be out of this world. But even just a 1-piece Slayer set gives you 5% extra crit rate. So I got that on the banner. A nice attack banner with attack percent and speed. Very nice build here for Dyana. and obviously an attack ring with reaction ring, so 25% chance to change a normal hit or a critical hit into a normal hit when attacked before the first turn. So in Arena, this is going to be very important on your squishy champions. It gives them a very slim chance to stay alive, whereas if they didn't have this on, if you're going second, if you end up getting cut in on or something, this champion is likely just going to get nuked, and you're going to have to really scramble to win the battle. Whereas if she just has some reaction gear on, then you're not going to be as likely to die if you get attacked in Arena. So let's actually go and take this champion into Arena. I'm very excited to do this. We're going to try to find some reasonably matched opponents here. And since she is Void, we don't really care what the affinity is, which makes her so great. So this is the team that I've kind of paired her with. I've got her going with White Queen Ancora, just a good reviver, cleanser, and speed aura of 19%. And then Deacon Armstrong, so turn meter boost and decreased defense AoE as well. Really nice champion as your speed lead, and then low key for the increased attack and turn meter steal, buff steal, and lockout if you want to go that route as well. He will actually lock out the champions of the opposing team, as well as heal your team. And then obviously Dyana. So let's go and see. Let's just see here. I don't think I'm going to kill this team, but let's kind of do a damage comparison. We'll first use Dyana here and see how much damage she does. So we'll go with the boost turn meter, extra turn, decreased defense, was able to land it on most everybody, and looks like this guy right here has the highest turn meter, so I'll go ahead and steal that with Loki. We'll steal that, and everybody now has increased attack. Alright, let's slow this down. This is her A3. Attacks all enemies, but before, she's going to place crit damage buff on herself. So she's actually going to have 300% crit damage with the buff once it goes here. So let's see this. Let's check it out.
So good to be back.
Whoa! Was that 60,000? 60,000, bro. She just did a huge smack. Holy man. Okay, so I'm thankful that I didn't kill everybody, because what this gives me an opportunity to do now is go and gear up my Magnarr and do the exact same thing. Look at that. So I can just go in with that. 100% crit rate, 200% crit damage, and 67k HP. Let's go and see how this Magnarr nukes that same team. So we were looking at 60Ks before with the last one. And let's bring in the exact same team. The only thing we're going to change is we're going to bring in the Magnarr. We don't need increased attack because Magnarr is an HP based nuker. So let's see here. What could I do instead of the well, I could just lock them out. That's the beauty of Loki. He can do two jobs at once. So instead of stealing the turn meter here, I'm just going to lock them out with Loki. Alright, so increase turn meter and now decrease defense. Please land it on everybody. Okay, that's good. So we landed it on enough. Let's go ahead here and... what can I do? What can I do? I can actually steal this turn meter here and get another turn before my Magnarr even goes. So we'll do this, increase the turn meter, and lock them out. Okay, that didn't really lock them out, but you know what? That's fine. We got the turn. Everybody's got decreased defense on them, and Magnarr is likely to get a weak hit on these three guys. So take a look at this guy here. This guy we did 63k damage on before with the other nuker. So let's take a look at what Magnarr does now.
I'm not just anybody.
Not bad. You know what? I'm actually very impressed. Magnarr only did 10,000 more damage with my best HP nuking gear than Dyana, but I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, bro. If Magnarr had 300% crit damage, he would be doing a lot more damage than Dyana. So keep that in mind, okay? Like, it might not be that fair of a comparison. Like, I can guarantee you if I put 200% crit damage and even 5,000 attack on Dyana, we're not going to get the same results. We're not even going to get close to the same results as a Magnarr type nuke. So, but the beauty of it is that, you know, if I was able to put 300 crit damage on Magnarr with gear on my account, I would probably then be able to gear out Dyana with like 350 or 360% crit damage. So that's your comparison right there. All right, so yeah. So let's try this one here. We've got a pretty good matchup here. Let's go here for a moment. This team does have a little more power than us, but I think we'll easily be able to take out all of these champions with a well built out Dyana. So here we go. I'm very excited, dude. I didn't really notice it right away, but I was like, I looked at her kit when I pulled her and I was a little bit excited, but now I'm like super excited because honestly, you can just really jack up the damage with this champion with really no drawback. I mean, there's no drawback to the damage that this champion is able to put out. So let's go ahead and steal the Taugor, their reviver. We'll steal his turn meter, place increased attack. And the nice thing with Loki, like everybody has Loki by now, right? The nice thing about Loki is his increased attack will go on regardless of whether or not you steal their buffs and turn meter. So let's do this. Everybody has decreased defense. And here's the big AoE smack. Let's go in. This team has relatively good power, team power as well. So they're not poorly built. Let's see here.
Sunset till sunrise.
Increase crit damage. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. Wow, that was great. And that's exactly what we want out of our arena nuker. Just nice and easy. 30 seconds or 10 seconds. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thanks for coming out. And on to the next one. As long as we're faster than the other team, I really don't fear that we will lose. That's what the Deke is in there for. We've got our speed aura, so they should be able to just auto this out if we're faster. It's all AoE, so yep, we are faster. Decrease defense, steal turn meter, increase attack, boom, dead. And now the ninja, please kill the ninja. Okay, I'll just click on him. Shouldn't be a problem. We do have a reviver and he's locked out. Loki is such a good crowd control champion, such a great free-to-play champion, and anybody who is doubting Loki's abilities before, just go check out my previous video that I made on Loki on my main account. You guys will see, man, Loki is not to be messed with for free-to-play arena. He's a very good arena champion. Let's try this team here. Just kind of bringing her through the gauntlet of teams that I figure were faster than. And that's really all it is about with this. This is what you call a speed comp or a cleave. Easy farming for arena. And boom, 40k, but they're all dead, and that's all that matters is that they're dead. Yeah, I'm very satisfied with what I'm seeing so far from this champion, and then the ally attack as well, which is great. So if you compare it with some champions that have good ally attack, you know, there's gonna be nothing wrong with that either. Let's try some Fire Knight. I think that's another area she's gonna be very good in. Who would I take out? Who would I take out? That's the only question. Maybe I'll try taking this champion. Well, that was the biggest waste of 32 energy I've ever spent in my life, but we're not going to talk about that. I couldn't get through it because I didn't have the survivability I really lose out on the survivability that Morag Bronze Lock offers in that battle by taking her out of that team. And that's really the only team that I have on my account that's able to do Fire Knight hard at under 10 minutes or even just do it at all. So, yep, that's that's a shame, but I definitely would think that there is a team out there that fits her very nicely onto Fire Knight. But man, I'm just thinking about these arena battles. Looks like we found a suitable partner here to go in against and nuke them out in one shot, but the question is, will they let me keep my low-key Deacon and Dyana intact? They're probably going to ban the Ancora, and that's, that's fine. So what I could do is use my Deacon as a speed aura, and I can bring in Magnarr as my backup nuker, so they can only ban one nuker if they want to ban a damage dealer. And it looks like they have Magnarr as well. I'm probably going to ban their Magnarr. This is probably a dumb idea, but I'm going to ban their Magnarr. And they banned my Ancora. Okay. So I banned out their nuker. They now don't have really a nuker. But hey, it's a free win. All we have to do is nuke them out now. Hopefully we get the first turn. I imagine we will, unless he has a 320 speed low key. We're going to get the first turn here. Didn't mention I managed to get pretty decent speed on her as well. She's running at like around 210 speed, so she's actually got quite a bit of speed on her. Let's go ahead and steal this guy's turn meter. Increase attack on all of our champions. And now the big boomstick. Not bad, 70k on one of the guys that had decreased defense on them. We did not have decreased defense on these other guys here, so we did about half health. Let's see what the Magnarr can do. Boom. About half health. So she's hitting about as hard as the Magnarr, with about as optimized gear as I can get for both champions on the account anyways. So is it fair of me to say that she hits about as hard as a Magnarr when fully geared out? Or would I be wrong to say that? You guys, I'll let you guys decide. I'm not trying to be biased here just because I want her to be good or I think she's good. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like if I was to optimize her gear fully in an endgame account, and as if I was to put maximum damage on a Magnarr, I think the Magnarr would still hit a little bit harder, but she's not too far behind, which is very, very, very good. I'm extremely impressed with the amount of damage that this champion can do and how easy she was to build out. Don't worry about building her for accuracy. If you can get some accuracy built into her kit to occasionally land that decreased defense on her A1, that's great. But honestly, just build this champion out as a damage dealer and have this champion, have a champion on your team that can place decreased defense, and you don't have to worry about her placing decreased defense. If you have a champion on your team that can place a Veil or a Perfect Veil or increase attack, then that works great too. So make sure that you have those two things, and those are so easy to get in today's game. It's not hard to find a champion that places a Veil or increase attack. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to rate this champion. I'm going to rate this champion a 4 in Fire Knight's Castle. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she is a 5. But for the reasons that I stated before, her AI is a little wonky. Maybe not getting as many bonuses. Ally attack is still a fantastic thing in Fire Knight, so very few champions. I'm going to be forced to give her a 5 just for that, just for the ally attack and the ability to clear any affinity waves. She's going to get a 5. She's going to get a 5 in campaign because, yeah, she could be your campaign nuker. Actually, you know what? Let me show you guys. Let's take her into 12-3 right now. Take up my campaign nuker. She become my campaign nuker. And let's see how much damage she could do unbooked to one of the waves here. So she's obviously not gonna do... Yeah, she can clear the wave. She can clear the wave. So clear the wave on a 3-turn cooldown. You do the ally attack, whatever. It's a reset. Okay, sure. Now goes in for another attack. And on the very next turn, you'll have her nuke back, and you could just do that like that. So there you go. She could be your campaign nuker. Always a bonus when any champion that you build up for damage can actually be your campaign nuker. And arena offense. Oh, I could only rate her once per day. Yeah, I give her a 4. I give her a 4 or 5 in arena offense. You know, very fun champion to use in arena. And yeah, what more can I say, man? If you guys like this type of content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It helps support me, and I would appreciate it very much if you did that. And yeah, we'll continue to make these videos in the future. And hopefully y'all have a great day. Enjoy your Dyana Gloompiercer if you have her. And if you don't, hopefully you pull one, man, because yeah, I love making builds on fun champions, and I know you guys will have fun with this champion too. So enjoy and peace out.